Imagine you're an American genius, mostly forgotten by the chess world. You've spent years of your senior career living in the shadow of those perceived to be better than you, and have sat on the reserve board for your country your entire life. And yet, come April 30th of 2018, you take the chance to prove yourself by winning one of the strongest tournaments in recent memory and go undefeated. It's your greatest achievement, your crowning moment, and the spark that you needed to win 2 more major events that year, cross the 2700 barrier, albeit later than your peers, and do all of this without losing a single game. One of the greatest on-form performances the chess world has ever seen. And now let's ask your average chess player, who do you think done all of this? You know, win the US Championship, cross 2700, win 2 more major events, all undefeated. Who do you think done that? Oh, probably Hikaru or Fabiano. And that's the point. Because this isn't the story of a late-blooming nobody. Long before 2018, Sam Shankland was already winning. After joining his school's chess club at just 9 years old, Sam quickly outgrew the players around him and began competing in official tournaments. And by his teenage years, his results were silently piling up. In 2008, he shared first place at the World Youth Under-18 Championship, finishing ahead of or alongside future elite grandmasters like Ivan Saric and Liquang Liem. 2 years later, at the 2010 US Junior Championship, his tournament nearly collapsed before it ever began. He lost his first 2 rounds, but instead of fading out, Shankland won 6 of his last 7 games, forced tiebreaks, and then won those too, taking sole first place. And in 2011, he completed the climb, earning the grandmaster title after finishing 6th in a massive 58-player field at the Berkeley International. These results would have cemented any up-and-coming junior into the field of potential greats. And yet, despite these results, which clearly screamed how good he was, the notable thing is how little the chess world has listened since. Throughout his 20s and senior career, Sam won many events, just not the ones people talk about. And when he did play in elite events with the world's top players, more often than not, the performance was solid, but not memorable. He wouldn't completely fall apart, but he wouldn't completely take down the competition either. He would just compete, and that was that. What begins to unfold is a long and frustrating journey of trying to break through the glass ceiling of fame in the chess world, and as we are about to find out, at each hurdle surrounding his career, he was getting outshone every single time. Just like the 2022 Tata Steel tournament, he wasn't in the top 3 and wasn't in the bottom 3 either, but could be found just above that, where the only thing you may think when looking at the results is, oh right, he played in that event. He finished the tournament with the second most amount of draws, 2 losses, and only 1 flash of the genius that everyone knows he can be. In this game against Sergei Karjakin, a previous World Championship challenger, he sacrifices a piece on move 19 in order to get a devastating attack on Sergei's king. An incredible display of foresight and genius level calculation to beat an elite level player, but again, was so easily washed away when you have performances like Carlsen's, who finished that same event undefeated and by winning 6 games. This cemented a trend that had been sparked in 2019, where he also finished exactly in the middle of the field, with Carlsen winning the event undefeated. And so now that you know that Shankland has this aura around him, we can understand why we saw an unsurprising result only a month before his crowning achievement. The Danzhou Super GM tournament in July 2018 was stacked with players who were all rated above or close to 2700, and even featured Liquang Liem, who, if you remember, he had finished alongside 10 years ago in the Under-18 World Championship. And despite the field being so strong, it didn't feature the absolute best of the best, as those guys were placed around 50 points higher. So going into the tournament, Sam would be expected to compete strongly if he wanted to prove himself as a top-level professional. Sam really did try, and his tournament was a rollercoaster. Move 39, round 2, Le Quam Liem plays a queen sacrifice against Sam. Then the final round, move 65, a completely lost queen endgame, and shankland resigns. He takes 2 major gut punches and finished 7th out of the 8 in the tournament, only placing above Vidit, who was the person that beat him in that queen endgame. Once again, another inconsistent performance in a tournament that wasn't too well known, where Sam really should have performed, just like everyone knows he can. Most fans didn't notice this tournament, but Sam did. And what he would have also noticed was something we haven't yet spoken about, but only added to the overshadowing of his achievements. 2018 was an important year for chess. Whilst the US Championships were happening, the year was being decided by a much larger event, the World Championship. With the World Championship lined up to be Magnus versus Fabiano, it ended up being one of the closest matches the chess world has seen. At the time, Fabiano was seen as a very close competitor to Magnus, and perhaps the only person on Earth who would be able to dethrone him. The entire year was spent on discussions, debates, and conversations, all centered around who will win the match. All of this was enough to make everyone forget about Sam, who once again got caught in the shadow of his fellow American, who was perceived to be better than him. And so despite him going undefeated, and despite him coming first in a tournament featuring the World Championship challenger, the Chess 960 World Champion, and one of the best blitz players on Earth, he was forgotten. Sam's career is one of peak performances and inconsistent results, and is a tale of what happens when you're simply unfortunate enough to not have the spotlight focused on you, and even when it is, the world isn't prepared to listen. With a recent uptick in positive results, Sam could have a positive rise for 2026, but ultimately, he deserves far more credit than he gets. An American genius who deserves more.